guys, welcome to this week's episode of my podcast. I am going to be introducing this week's topic a little bit later, but I want you guys to tell me, which name do you prefer for the podcast? Do you like, let me make sure my mic is down. Do you guys like ShakeraSpeaks or Speaking with Shakera for the podcast name? Because I don't know which one to choose, and I'm more inclined to choose the one that is less talking or less words, and I'm feeling like ShakeraSpeaks is going to be the one that I'm going to pick. I'm gonna poll the comment section and see what everybody says. So comment which one is your favorite, ShakeraSpeaks or Speaking with Shakera for the podcast. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about why modern women no longer want to get married. And this is a heavy topic. I've not only talked to friends and family, I kind of polled people that I know that is married and kind of picked their brain for this topic because I didn't want it to be one-sided. And I also talked to my therapist about this before and see what she had to say. So this is basically like a big summary of everything that I gathered and also some of the information that I have studied and I have come across. So there's this big debate on social media about why the modern day women no longer want to get married. And a lot of people will say that divorces, 69 to 70% of divorces are initiated by women. And the fact of the matter is, and this is based on facts and statistics, it doesn't have anything to do with like my feelings or how I feel about certain topics. The fact of the matter is statistically proven that marriages are beneficial mostly to men. And what I mean that they're mostly beneficial to men is because when a woman is married, they are more inclined to die first, so their husband normally outlived them. They are more inclined to have a majority of the household responsibilities, and if you are doing like a roundup or a synopsis of jobs, if you're talking about household responsibility, your household responsibilities are never fully committed. I've read an article that says a stay-at-home mom works 40 to 80 hours at home compared to a woman that works a full-time job at a place outside of her work. So if you're being correct, if you are a traditional woman in a traditional marriage, then your work is never done and you're basically doing a full-time job at home. And there's this whole notion that men do not want to get married anymore, and especially black men here on social media, they don't want to get married to black women anymore and they're going overseas to get married. But if you're talking facts, if you're talking statistics, you will know that recently Psychology Today released an article that says, and they put down numbers that says women are choosing not to get married, which is why men are going overseas, especially in the USA, because Psychology Today mostly do studies in the US. So a lot of men don't want to get married anymore, and they're going overseas to go look for wives. And if you're being truthful and if you're following the facts of that is women are choosing no longer to get married, which is forcing the men to have to go somewhere else to find wives. So if you want to put down the facts, if you want to be truthful, if you want to base everything on logic, facts, science, and have like 100% backing, the fact of the matter is women are choosing not to be married anymore, because a lot of women feel like it's no longer beneficial for them, and I cannot blame them. Let's talk traditional, because one thing I find with anytime these conversation comes up as any talking point, the male gender love to reference like their grandparents' relationship, or how their grandparents' relationship was. And the first question I would like to ask them is, did they ask specifically like their grandmother if they were fulfilled in that relationship, if they could do anything again, what would they do and not do? What was their biggest regrets? And the last and final question I would ask them is, if they actually asked their grandmother, were they actually happy in those relationships? A lot of time people like to use certain relationship as vocal points, as talking points, and they didn't do the shadow work or the inside work to actually ask those people or to know what was happening inside those relationships, specifically women in those type of relationships. Were they happy? That's the question. And the reason why a lot of women, I don't say a lot of women, a reason why women are no longer choosing to be married is because marriage is a contract. Marriage is a business. You are in a legal binding contract, a legal binding business to another person. And persons change, persons, like, your life change, who you are change, your finances change, things change. And what women find that a lot of times things don't change for the better, they change for worse. And if you are a woman in a traditional sense and in a traditional relationship, and like I said, like if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you are in a traditional marriage, majority of the household work, taking care of the children, all of that is based solely on you and on your doing. So if you're a mom and you have kids and you have a household, you not only have to take care of that household, but you also have to take care of that kid. Science have proven and studies have proven just being a stay-at-home wife alone is a full-time job. So to add raising kids onto that makes it, that stay-at-home mom, that stay-at-home wife has 2 full-time jobs based on science, based on statistics, and based on what people know now. So in traditional sense, in traditional relationships, they no longer benefit women. And when something no longer benefit a person, they have no other choice than to get themselves out of it. In a relationship, both parties need to be contented, and if one person in that relationship finds themselves feeling like they're doing majority of the work, or they have 2 full-time jobs while the next party only have 1, then it's going to be some strain on that relationship. And while a lot of people will say that sometimes in your relationship you will give 80% and the person is only giving 20, and vice versa, and that's just how relationship goes, if you want that relationship to last, you guys will have to get on the same page. You guys will have to meet in the middle and give 50-50. So in the traditional sense, marriages don't work for women. Marriages don't benefit women. Not only that, when you're talking about human beings and how they change, 1 minute this person can love you and adore you, the next minute they can hate you and want you gone. So if you're in a marriage and you don't have certain prenuptial agreement, you don't have certain agreement, and you are left vulnerable as a woman, if you are in a certain, like a marriage, and you are not protected prenuptially, like, people can change, people can no longer want you, people can no longer want to be with you. And in traditional marriages, a lot of the times women are stay-at-home moms, they're stay-at-home wife, they give up their life, they give up their career to be situated as a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife, and then you don't work anymore. Your primary source is contributing to your household, contributing to your kids. You are left vulnerable because years at a time, years go by, you're not working, you're not bringing in any income, and the person you're with can just say they don't want to be with you anymore. Okay, you need to leave. So you're left vulnerable in a state where you don't have any income, you're out of the workforce for years, and you are left vulnerable to fend for yourself and pick up the pieces. And while marriage is great, that's something that women actively have to think about. They actively have to figure out. They actively have to put their lives in somebody else's hand. And now a lot of women are not willing to do that. A lot of women are not willing to give up their career, their education, or their lives to be a stay-at-home mom or raise children, because they don't want to be put in a position where they're left vulnerable and years have gone by and they felt like they lost themselves, lost who they are, and then they have to fend for themselves, pick up the pieces, and mend their own broken hearts. So that is something that if you're going into a marriage, you have to actively think about. Not only that, if you are a mom, you have to actively think about where your children are going to be now when they're born. You have to actively think about how they're going to be born, and if they're going to be complications when they are born or complications after they are born. A lot of the times women give birth and those medical bills pile up on their names. Okay, so you have debt if you're in a marriage and you're having children and you don't have health insurance, or your insurance doesn't cover your full birth. You now are in a hole because you're not taking home any income, you're not working, and you now have debt because you got pregnant and you had a child. So that's something else that moms have to think about actively. They not only have to think about giving birth, payment of birth, and they also have to think about all the complications and everything that can happen to you when you are pregnant, and all the things that can go wrong when you are pregnant. A lot of women now are telling their husbands that if they give birth and it comes down to saving them or a child, the husband should save them. And honestly, I feel like that should be a no-brainer. Like, you don't know this child. Like, we can make another child, you can't make another me. But that's neither here nor there. Women have to actively think about that. Not only that, while your children are growing, you have to actively think about what your life is going to look like while your kids are not at home anymore. They're going to go to school. They are going to be out there. Okay, so that's something you have to think about. And as far as being in a traditional marriage, majority of the time, your kids going to school, traditionally, the dropping off, the picking up, the making sure that they have lunches or their dinner, their lunch packed, or taking them to extracurricular activities. If you're talking traditionally, that role lands on a mom. So not only you have to take care of your household, which scientifically proven, we know that's a full-time job, and that job is like never ending, because if you're a woman like me, you see something every single time you walk through your house that needs fixing, that needs changing, that needs correcting. So it's like a never-ending job. If you have children, taking care of that child is also a never-ending job traditionally. And if they go to school and you have to be a part of that, and they do extracurricular activities, that's also another job. So basically you have 3 full-time jobs. And traditionally, what the husband does is bring home the bacon, they bring home the finances. They are not participating in the rearing of the child. A lot of the times I find that when men talk about traditional women and traditional men, or nowadays women and nowadays men, the thing that they like to talk about is traditional relationship and how the cycle goes. But if we are being honest, and if we're doing it based on logics, we'll know that traditionally a lot of the work falls on the woman. So therefore, she don't have any more time to give. She is exhausted, okay, from raising her child, from taking care of the home. It doesn't equate to you going to work for 40 hours a day outside of the home when you have one full-time job. Your traditional stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home wife has 3 to 4 full-time jobs, and her jobs are never ending. When the traditional man goes to work, he clocks in and he clocks out. When you are a mom, there is no clocking in, there's no clocking out in the traditional sense, which is what a lot of people I find that do not understand. You're clocked in all the time. And if you are a traditional man and you go outside of the house to work, you have a break. You have a lunch break. You're interacting with other human beings. You don't have to be at home. You don't have to see your kids until you clock out of that job. So you have other forms of interaction. While you're a stay-at-home mom, the only interaction you have is with your kids and with your toddlers, which can also affect women's mental health in a significant way. And that is something that a lot of people do not talk about. 24/7, 365, only having your husband or your child's father and your kids to interact with because you're a stay-at-home mom is something that's not natural, that's not normal, because women or people on a whole need to be socialized. They need to have outside socialization. So having someone confined to that 24/7, 365 can also mess with their mental health, and that is also not taken into consideration. Not only that, I feel like in society, being a stay-at-home mom, a lot of people don't see it as work. They see it as women are being lazy. All we have to do is wash, cook, and clean. And they don't see the endless hours of your mind never stops, okay? You don't have any time to clock out because you're always inside where you work. And where you work is inside your home. So when people like to talk about traditional relationship and how traditional relationship work, it's not even, it's not equivalent. And now more than ever, women are realizing that the workload is not even, and it's not leveled, and it's not a level playing field, and you're going to burn yourself out. Not only trying to take care of your household, take care of your kids, take care of your husband, and also taking care of yourself, you are going to burn yourself out. And also, all three of those things cause resentment. A lot of women don't like to talk about the fact that when there are traditional women and they're staying at home and they're doing the wash, cooking, and cleaning thing, taking care of the household, they resent their partners because their partner have the ability to go outside of the household, interact with other human beings in their field or in their specialty or in their workplace, and they have 8 to 12 hours of non-stop interaction with adults their own age, people that can talk to them in a language that they understand, okay? They have outside community. And when you're a stay-at-home mom, you don't have that. You do not have that unless you build a community with other stay-at-home moms. And let me tell you, being an adult, trying to find adult friends with the same values, the same mindset, the same frame of raising children is like you're looking for a needle in a haystack, okay? You're looking for a diamond where there is none. Let me just say that from now. And then making friends, that's a whole different story. So if you're talking about why women don't want to get married anymore, all those things have to be put into context and have to be thought about. You're left vulnerable, not working, not bringing in any income. Your sole job is to take care of your household, take care of your kids and your husband. And your husband can get up at any time and say he don't want to be with you anymore and you have to leave, okay? You're left vulnerable with another human being. Human beings change. Human beings don't stay the same. So you have to put all your life and your trust into somebody else. And a lot of people do not want to do that, okay? Because they are not sure and they don't want to be left vulnerable, to be heartbroken, or for something bad to happen. And then another thing a lot of people do not talk about when they're talking about why women or traditional women don't want to get married anymore is how Some women are married and they're single moms while being married. Like, you're a single mom, you do every single thing for your child by yourself, like 365 days a year, and the only thing that man brings is the finances. You have to go to the store, you have to pick out presents by yourself, you have to plan the parties and the engagement by yourself, you have to drop off, pick up the kids by yourself, you have to make dinner and take care of your kids by yourself. The only thing that they bring is finances. And at some point in a relationship and in raising children, you're going to need your partner to do more than just add finances, because finances alone cannot raise proper children. You need their father to not only be involved financially, but be present in every single way. Present mind, present as being active, going to football games, going to gymnastics, going to dance, whatever extracurricular activities that they have, their father also needs to be emotionally invested. And I think that's what, in traditional sense, men do not have any problem allocating the finances. But when it comes on to being empathetic and being present in that relationship with their children, they don't know how to do it. They can't convey that. And I won't say can't, because science proves that men can be equally as, and I actually just read this recently, men can be equally as empathetic and as emotional as women. They choose not to, and they choose who they want to with that, where that is concerned. So I thought that was something everyone should know. All men have the capability of being empathetic with not only their children but also their wives. And that's another thing. Some men have the ability to be empathetic, sympathetic, physically and mentally and emotionally present, and they can be vulnerable with their children, but when it comes on to their wife, that portion of them is completely gone. That portion of them is completely locked off. It's like you're talking to a wall, okay? They have no problem bullying you, being mean to you, talking to you like you are the dirt beneath their shoes. And when you're in a traditional relationship and that's how you are being talked to, that's the interaction, you don't want to have that interaction, especially if you're working 3 full-time jobs just by staying home and taking care of yourself and your kids and the household. You do not want to be talked to like that in the traditional sense. So when people like to talk about why women don't want to get married, is a whole host of things. It's not one thing. You literally sign your life away when you get married. And if you're not sure that that person is going to have your back, that person wants to be in a committed relationship and do it the course, they won't take the easy way out and get a divorce. And if they believe in divorces or whatever their belief system is, then you are stuck. You are stuck because you won't know what to do. And that's why women are choosing not to get married, because of all the things that comes with being married. Okay, it's not one thing, it's a lot. And if it's no longer benefiting you, what you do, you don't do it anymore. You leave it right where it's at. So if we're being real and if we're being honest, we have to take everything into account if you're going to talk about why traditional women don't want to get married. You can't just talk about how society is now and how relationships are now. You have to take into account everything. I would definitely say women need to weigh the pros and cons of marriage and make sure it is right for you. I think marriage is a beautiful thing, don't get me wrong. You have, especially if you have somebody that wants to be with you forever and do the distance and is respectful and knows how to be empathetic and loyal and emotional and is dear for you. Beautiful, amazing. But a lot of us have a lot of shadow work to do, a lot of trauma to resolve, and it takes a while to get there. And a lot of times in these nowadays relationship, people don't want to do the shadow work. They don't want to resolve the trauma. They just want to move on and act like nothing happened, and they want to act like everything that they do is okay. And when you're in a relationship, that's not going to work. After a while, that relationship is going to break down. So as a woman, I tell every woman this: weigh the pros and weigh the cons. If the cons outweigh the pros, then it's a no. But if the pros outweigh the cons, then go right ahead. Marriage is beautiful. It can be amazing. It can be fulfilling. Whether that be traditional sense or you do your marriage how you want it or how you see fit. So with that being said, that is my summary of why I think modern day women don't want to get married. And before I leave, I need to say this: if you are thinking about getting married, having children, if you're not a DINK couple, and what a DINK couple is a dual income, no kids couple. So they have dual income, both the man and the woman is working, contributing to their lifestyle and to everything in the household, and they are planning never ever to have children. They just want to love their one another, live their life, and live happily ever after, basically. If you're not in a DINK couple relationship as far as marriage is concerned, I will say what I advise every woman to do if they're thinking about marriage and children: make sure you have some sort of agreement as to what's gonna happen if one person wants to get a divorce, what's gonna happen to your children, where they're going to live, who's going to drop the children off at their extracurricular activities, who's gonna pay for those extracurricular activities. And not only that, if you're going to get pregnant, who's gonna foot the bill for the delivery, who is gonna foot the bill for your postmortem care, like your checkups, your OBGYN, all of that, if your health insurance doesn't cover it. Also, if you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, what is your life going to look like? Are you going to look like a shell of yourself? So you no longer get your hair done, you no longer get your nails done, you are just in the house withering away because you are not contributing financially, and all the finances are going to taking care of the household and none is left for you. What is that going to look like? Are you going to require your partner to give you like a monthly allowance of, okay, my hair needs to be done, my nails needs to be done, and this is what I'm allocating towards that? Especially if you are a stay-at-home mom and you're not bringing in any income. What your life is going to look like, how are you going to take care of yourself in continuing that relationship. A lot of the times when women have kids, they lose their self. They no longer take care of themselves, whether that be hair, nails, appearance, not working out, eating healthy. What is your life going to look like? What will be the agreement between you and the person that you're having children for, and you're basically stopping your life? You're putting your life, your career, your education on hold for. What is that going to look like, and who is going to do what? So with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, leave your comments in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.